My name is NerdyNursey, and this is
Cococonfession.
So this is us up here. I have Paul Antle, who is media specialist over there. We have an hour to get through so many things I want to talk to you about. There's so many aspects of health, so it's going to be a little fast, but I want to give time for people to talk or share stories after the end. I am a nurse, I am a streamer, I am a gamer, and I've done a lot of events in esports, and I've seen a lot of what plagues the community as far as health and wellness issues. So I want to talk a little bit about that.
And I'm a full-time variety streamer with a focus on retro and speedrunning. And I was diagnosed with lupus at 20 years old and have been treated since I was 15. And I have learned to run a stream battling a chronic illness. So that's why I'm here.
We wanted to talk about how every aspect of health affects another. So it's really important to talk about everything, but it's also really difficult to balance everything. When you talk about mental health, well, that affects your physical health. That affects how well you're able to eat. And if you are depressed or anxious, you are not going to feel like making yourself a meal that has every aspect of my plate. You're not going to feel like going to the gym. If you eat poorly, then you're not going to have the energy to go to the gym. You can just see how every single thing kind of affects the next thing. So if you are struggling in one aspect of health, it really will make you struggle in all aspects of health. I wanted to talk about that Maslow's hierarchy of need. If you've ever taken any biology class or anything like that, you've seen that a million times, but it is so, so important. You need to have that base physiological foundation if you're going to work on any other aspect. Making sure you get the proper sleep, because that is in that base. So that's something that I see a lot as well. At the top is the esteem and self-actualization. So having a community, having high self-esteem, or not letting your anxiety tell you that you don't deserve the love that you absolutely deserve, because that is part of being fully well. What is your class? So like me, I consider myself, I'm a nurse, and I've been a healer class since, Resto Druid, since I was little, since I started playing. So I've been a healer in game and out, but that might not be your thing, and that's okay. So you need to find people who maybe it is their thing. Build your party. Are you a tank? Because I'm definitely not. I have no arm strength. But if going to the gym is your thing, you got that, then know that. But also know that that's just one part of health and wellness. So going to the gym all the time might be great, but make sure you're also taking time to get the proper nutrition, get the proper rest, and talk about your feelings with someone. Have someone that you can open up to and be vulnerable with, and make sure you have that sort of emotional outlet as well. Making sure you have all the party members with you and knowing your limits. There's some points when you're playing games, especially like WoW or something like that, where you have to be like, no, you cannot pull any more mobs. I cannot handle this. If you can say that, then you can say, no, I can't handle any more work today. I can't handle this conversation, or I need to take a break from anything that may make your mental, physical wellness weaker. So no is a complete sentence. You don't have to say, no, I'm sorry, but I have this excuse. No is no, and it's okay to say that.
I think that you're going to see a theme with what we're talking about today. It's going to be a lot about self-awareness, figuring out what works best for you. Everyone's different. Every chronic illness, every mental ailment requires something different, and each person is different. So it's about, the trial and error, trying to figure out what's going to work best for you. And it's going to take time. And it's going to you're probably going to fail a few times. But it's really important that you know your limits, what you need, and the people that you need around you to help support you.
So the top issues that I see are some physical issues, nutritional issues, sleep and hygiene, and I hear very many streamers who've come up to me and say, I deal with anxiety and depression, Or I have seen streamers who make whole streams about talking about their mental illness and their struggle with it, or doing charity streams for a mental health organization, because it's something that I really think is a theme among the community and something that a lot of us bond over and talk about. So I think it's important that we talk about that. If you're going to be streaming for hours and hours and hours, a stream marathon, I like that people use the word marathon because you should prepare like it is one. If you're going to run a 26-mile run marathon, then what do? You practice run for a few miles every day. You drink a lot of water. You are well rested before your marathon. You stretch before. And these are all things that you should do before you do a marathon gaming session, even if it's not on stream. For my pro players or aspiring pro players, they have to put in a lot of hours to their gaming. It's really important that you get the right amount of rest, you have a lot of water when you're streaming, you stretch it out. There's a lot of exercises I do on stream before I stream to just show people how easy it is just while you're sitting at your computer to do those things. What are some things that you do before you stream?
I think it's really important to get outside. As streamers, sometimes we forget that the sun exists. So, going outside, even if it's for 10, 15 minutes a day, can really not only make you feel better physically, but improve your outlook. It's known to help, your body produce things like vitamin D, which is known to help battle things like depression. Every day to at least go outside for 15 minutes, before and or after stream. So it's the fresh air, the sunlight, the little bit of exercise you get can go a long way.
She said that it can just be 15 minutes before or after you stream, or in the morning, or whatever you need. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to rearrange your whole life. Sometimes some of these things may look daunting when you set these huge goals. A little step can go a long way. You don't have to say, well, I'm going to go vegan, or I'm not going to eat a single carb, or whatever you think might help you as far as nutrition. Instead, maybe just substitute one drink that might have been soda with water instead, or substitute fries with a side salad when you go out. It doesn't have to be an immediate and abrupt lifestyle change, because a lot of those can't be sustained, but it can be just one positive change that can really snowball into some good things. And I know that gamers have a notorious nutritional habit of Mountain Dew and Doritos, and it's been a huge trope, and I'm not saying you can never do that, but it's possible to maybe substitute the Mountain Dew one day for some water. And the mental health aspect, which is really, really important, includes your emotional wellness, includes just how you think about yourself and others every day. And I think it's important because it's one of the biggest issues that I see when people talk about, I have these issues. I talk about it on stream. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression when I was 16. They gave me Lexapro that I take, or try to. I'm a little terrible at remembering to take things every day, but it's just something that we all have to try to remember. But I think it does really help. And not being afraid to say, I take medication for this, or I've been diagnosed with this, because I think that the stigma on mental health is a big contributor to it not being treated well. I think that the more people talk about it, and the easier people talk about it, the more likely somebody is to go seek help if they need it. You wouldn't tell someone with diabetes or asthma, like, you don't need your insulin, you don't need your inhaler, you can just, need to think more positively. If you're more positive, your pancreas will start producing insulin. It's fine.
That's not how it works.
No. So it's really frustrating. Somebody wouldn't come up to you and say, like, well, what if you're...
Just will your immune system to do what it's supposed to do.
What if your lupus was all in your head? You just need a more positive attitude. You just need to go outside and,
And you know what?
It's
It's crazy, because when I was being treated, I had doctors that told me that. I had doctors that said, oh, no, you don't have lupus. And I'm like, the 3 doctors that I had before you said I did. And they're like, oh, no. So you're going to come across obstacles, and you're going to come across people that don't believe you. And sadly, some of them might be some of your healthcare professionals. So you need to speak up. You need to be an advocate for your own health. And you can't, if you feel like something's wrong, or if you feel like something's not right, you know yourself better than anybody else. So don't take no for an answer. Say, no, I need you to figure out what's wrong. I need you to help me. And find people who want to help you have a better quality of life. Find that doctor or that healthcare professional that wants you to have a nice balance, wants you to be able to get up in the morning and feel good about your day. Or maybe it's, being able to go to work or stream or whatever it may be in your life that's important. You are a human that deserves everything, and you need to find healthcare professionals that believe in that as much as you. So.
Absolutely. And so in that, my first prescription wasn't enough. I had to go back and get it increased. And it went from 5 to 10, which isn't uncommon for what Lexapro is called an SSRI. It's not uncommon for those to need to be increased. But if I hadn't had gone back and said, I'm still really depressed all the time, and I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm just not feeling like I feel that I should. If I hadn't said those things, then they wouldn't have increased it. Then I wouldn't have gotten the help that I needed. So it is really important to talk to someone and say, hey, this medication is not working. I still feel hopeless, or I still feel that I need something else. And it can really help. It can really help.
And they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So if you don't speak up, then they're not gonna be able to know how to help you.
Coping skills goes beyond just the medication. There's a lot of activities. When I was doing my clinical rotation as a nursing student, one of our clinical rotations has to be in a mental health facility. They offer so many options as far as group sessions. You can talk about certain things, do certain activities, color, draw. One of the main important things that we talk about is when we're sitting and talking to someone who's dealing with these issues, saying, what do you do that makes you feel better? What do you do that helps you? And it's different for every single person. If listening to music helps you, if running helps you, if journaling all your feelings out helps you, if just going to the gym and punching the speed bag helps you, just find your outlet, find your coping skill. A lot of people can find coping skills, but some of them may be negative. Depression naps are a thing, and I do them. I used to do them much more, but I would just be like, I can't deal with this, I'm just gonna go take a nap. So that didn't really solve my problem, but it made me feel better. Drugs and alcohol are sometimes what some people use to cope. It's important to find your positive coping skill. Not just anything that makes you feel better, not just anything that you think makes it go away, but something that brings you into a more calm, more positive. You don't have to be happy. No one says you have to be happy all the time. Something that allows you to deal with whatever situation that you're struggling with, keeps the absolute negative thoughts from being just too overwhelming. And being social, so even if it's a social game, because I know sometimes it's difficult to get together, especially with adults and we have lives, and it's like trying to get a D&D group together. It's like the holy grail if you can get more than 4 people, to have the same work schedules. So I get it. Social games are great for that. Just getting together maybe one night a week to talk to people, just having people to talk to and having things to do, and just having that outlet is really, really important. Physical health. This is something, I would probably say this is my weakest aspect, because I say I'm going to go to the gym every single week, and I'm 5 weeks in a row that, no, this hasn't happened. But what I do is before every stream, I do hand, wrist, and elbow exercises. Just start with simple things that many people can do. I show them on stream, and get up every hour to stretch things out on the plane ride here, try to get up every hour. That's really important. Your legs already kind of struggle to get the blood back up into your core, to your chest. So putting a lot of pressure on them by sitting down makes it that much harder for the blood to come back, which can cause pain and blood clots and a lot of things that are really detrimental and not something you want. So it's just important to just get up, stretch it out. When you take a bathroom break, take a few extra seconds to stretch. Try to touch your toes or just try to bend a little bit. Just stretch it out before you go back to streaming. And you can even do that on stream. I try to because I think it helps motivate the people who are watching who may have been in a dependent position for a long time to do that as well. The 20-20-20 rule, I think everybody knows that all the electronics that we're using have really high intensity blue light. Like the Gunnar glasses, they work to filter out some of that blue light, so you can use those kind of peripherals. You can also use the 20-20-20 rule, which is what I do during my streams. I'll say every 20 minutes, we're going to look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That's not a screen. Reorient our eyes. To have that high intensity light going into our eyes for so long, you may not feel it immediately, but at the end of the stream, sometimes I've noticed if I don't do this religiously, my eyes just feel so heavy and tired and fatigued. And if I do this religiously, this 20-20-20 rule, I feel like I can go for a longer time gaming, which is something that I think is important. Sometimes for streamers or professional players, they'll be like, well, I can't get the adequate amount of sleep, or I can't take time to eat a nutritious meal, or to take these 20 seconds to look at something because that's time I'm taking away from playing. And if I play less than the person next to me, then they're going to automatically, have more experience or be better than me. But I want to be the best, so I've got to play all the time. This person that has been gaming for 24 hours, hasn't gotten the adequate amount of rest, hasn't rested their eyes, hasn't done these exercises, they're actually going to be a worse performer than somebody who may have not have put as many hours in the game, but because they put some hours into themselves, your reflexes are faster, your hand-eye coordination is improved, and all of these physical things that actually make a big difference when you're playing a game are improved. And it actually makes you a better gamer, which is something that I am a big advocate for and something I want to do to help. What do you feel like helps when you're gaming for a long time?
I do have blue light glasses. They help a ton, especially for people who get headaches or have chronic illnesses that create headaches. It's a really good help. Stretching, I try my best. I may not be the best at it, I will admit, but I think that as far as eating healthy, going outside, it's going to take a lot of discipline. And for us as gamers, we put a lot of discipline in our streams, right? So we are so good about being the best healer in your MMO, or being the best shooter in a battle royale. I don't play shooters. I don't know. I don't know the lingo.
You want the
I'm sorry.
highest. So you want the highest KDA, or you want to be number one in NA, or you want to be.
So I think applying that type of discipline that we apply to our streams, think about how often you check Discord or you check Twitter. A couple times a day, 15 times a day. I mean, I'm on Discord, I swear. I'm every time I go on my phone, I'm on Discord. And if you think about every time you go on Discord, maybe you do a stretch, or maybe you do something for your health. And it can be something very, very small. That type of discipline you need to put towards your health as well. And I guarantee you, you will see a huge difference. And you'll find that when you feel better, you'll be a better streamer, you'll be a better performer, entertainer, you'll be a better business person. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think those goals you can set as well when you're playing a game. And there's some online also that people have already created, but every time I die, I'm doing 2 squats or 10 squats.
Yeah, that'll make you a better gamer.
Yeah. So that can help improve your gaming, but also you'll be like, hey, I worked out too.
Speedrunners out there, every red split, you got to do 5 push-ups.
Yeah. So, and then eventually you'll be like, I'm a better gamer and I got gains. Like, yeah. So, I mean, it's just really important, and it will also, like she said, make you a better performer if you're into a Twitch stream and you have high energy and you want to maintain that energy. You got to do things to maintain that energy. You have to feed your body and feed your mind. I know when I was in school and learning the nutrition, we had the pyramid, the food pyramid. And then they changed it and didn't tell anyone. So, yeah. So it's no longer the food pyramid. Now it's my plate.
Has anybody seen this? No?
Yeah. So they don't, yeah.
It's, right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So everybody knows the food pyramid. They changed it. It's now my plate, and you're supposed to have this % of each thing on each meal. So I think that they changed it because the food pyramid, people were like, well, the biggest part is grains, so I'll just eat grains for I'll just eat bread all the time. It'll be perfect. Each % of your meal is supposed to look like this. You're supposed to have a % of dairy, the largest % of vegetables, the next largest % being a half of grain, half of protein, and then the other % being a fruit. It's just picking your favorites mostly. I'm really, really bad at this too, but I'm getting better. The best thing is to pick my favorite things, because then I'm more likely to eat a lot of them. I love apples and grapes, and I usually try to keep myself pretty well stocked in those because I'm more likely to eat the apples and the grapes instead of a bag of chips if I have them readily available, because honestly, they are both just as easy to eat. I think a lot of people will say, oh, I eat all this junk food, but it's just so easy, it's so convenient. I can just go, grab it, done. But so is fruit. You just go grab it. So maybe switch that out. Find things that are a little more convenient. I've seen people say, well, I don't really have time to make a whole sandwich, but I do have time to take slice of cheese and slice of meat and do a little roll up. And that's better. That's better than, you don't have to put all this time and effort in thinking what the perfect meal is. It's just important of knowing the right choices to make, which is why I put this up here, because not very many people know that this has now changed. And this is the evidence that we've gotten shows that this is the best meal.
I think balance, too. Just think about balance and moderation. So if you do have a meal that maybe wasn't so great for you, it doesn't mean you blow your whole day, right? So if you decide to go get that McDouble from McDonald's and you're like, oh man, then make your next meal better. So don't let that guide you in your day of eating or your day of your lifestyle for that day. It's like, okay, well, this meal I maybe didn't do so great. I just need to make sure, the rest of my meals for the day are a little bit more nutritious, have a little bit more, nutritional value to them.
Do you have a go-to stream meal?
The one that I like to eat, or the healthy one?
That's the thing. That's the thing, right?
I always keep snacks on hand when I'm streaming. I try to do things like protein bars, granola bars. I always have fresh cut up fruit in my fridge. I try to do my best to have things prepared before stream so that when I step off for 2 minutes to go, I'm not shoving a cookie in my mouth, which sometimes I do. I'm not gonna act like I don't.
We're not perfect.
But I'll cut up some apples and put them in the fridge and just have them there so that when I need to step away for 2 minutes from my stream, I can eat those instead of something that's not so good for me. Right. So again, it's about that diligence and being very disciplined about setting yourself up for success and taking the time to do so, and a little bit goes a long way.
And that comes to my other point, which is don't choose gaming over eating. So a lot of people I know will sit down and spend 20 minutes making sure their layout is well done and their camera looks good and they've set everything up, and then they'll start streaming and realize they didn't give themselves any water or food. So they're just well, guess I'm just going to stream without it. It's really important to make that a part of your prep work when you stream or when you game. I know that when you watch the pro-level players, they always have water with them or other beverages. And then when you see them go to the back after the game, I know personally, I watch a lot of League of Legends esports, a lot of it. I've noticed whenever they go back after their games and they're taking a break, they're like eating bananas, eating granola bars. I see all this when I'm watching, and that's really important too. When you're taking a break, when you've maybe during a death screen or anything like that, make sure you have stuff like that prepared so you're not just going for hours and hours without eating, because it's important to make sure, and that also keeps your energy up like we were talking about earlier. If you're going to be streaming for a long time, you want to keep that energy up, keep your chat engaged, give yourself some energy for it. Can't pull from an empty place, so eventually you will have no more energy to give if you're not fueling yourself. And then, like we were talking about the very first slide, in that health is a wheel. Every single thing affects the next person. Studies have shown that people who eat unhealthy also have a very increased anxiety, depression, and mental health issues, because what you put in your body is what it pulls out. So if you eat like crap, you may feel like crap, both physically and mentally. So this is an aspect of wellness that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I see a lot of mental health advocates, I see a lot of physical health streamers, I see a lot of things, but I don't ever see, and I haven't watched all of them. I'm sure there are some out there who talk in depth about this, and I would really like to hear more about it, because I'm not a full-time streamer. You are.
I am.
I just started my nursing career, so I have a 401k in my job. I have insurance through my job. But for some people, this is their job, and something you need to think about is where those extra things are coming from. Are you investing? Is that important to you? Because it might need to be. Where's your health insurance coming from? Where's your budget? Do you have a budget? Where are you getting money for these games if you're not a part of a influencer society where you're getting codes? Or how much money do you spend on giveaways? And how much money do you need to maintain your lifestyle? And are you able to get that through streaming? Because I do see a lot of people say, I made affiliate, I can quit my job, or whatever. So it's a part of wellness that you need to talk about. We make it really hard in this country to be well if you're poor. It's really difficult. If you don't have money to go to the doctor, then you're not going to get the things that you need. If you don't have money for your prescriptions, you're not going to be able to take your medication. If you don't have money for a gym membership, then your physical health may suffer. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go get a gym membership, but it's just something that goes to show if you have more money, then you may have better health.
How many people here are full-time streamers? 2, 3, 4?
All right.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I think financial struggles can be one of the top stressors that anyone in general, you're like, yeah. Even if you're not a full-time streamer, even if you have, just a regular job that you go to 9 to 5, knowing the paycheck that you're getting and where it's going to go, what bills you have to pay. And streaming is an expensive career. It's so expensive, and between building PCs to, buying games, to buying equipment, a new headset, it gets very, very expensive. And but not only that, it's on top of that being able to pay for all your bills and being able to figure out, healthcare. You have to buy your own insurance when you're a full-time streamer. And unfortunately, I feel like those are the types of things that people bargain shop for when they're trying to figure out their budget, because they're like, well, it's going to go to rent, it's going to go to phone bill, it's going to go to internet bill, because those are so important. And then I feel like for things like health insurance, sometimes not a lot of research that's done, and they just get a plan to get a plan, and then you find out down the road that it's not the plan for you. I think that, as far as being financially savvy is taking the time like you would any other aspect of your business and really figuring out what's realistic. Look at your 6-month trend for your stream. Look at your year trend for your stream, and make really, really great decisions, educated decisions on what you can do, and always leave yourself a buffer on what happens if A happens or what happens if B happens. Just like if you were in a 9 to 5 job, especially in the gaming industry, there was a panel yesterday where we were talking about the industry and, you know, the possibility of layoffs. It's like when you're in a job that maybe isn't extremely stable, like you're worried about maybe losing that job. Same thing. It's like, what's your backup plan?
It's kind of like when people try to make it paycheck to paycheck. It's really difficult if you're trying to make it stream to stream. If you're like, I have to stream 3 times a day in order to maintain my lifestyle and be able to pay all my bills. Well, what if your internet goes out? That's totally out of your control. And that's like, now you can't pay your bills. Or what if you get sick and you just cannot stream and have to take a sick day? Or just, there's so many things that can affect your ability to stream, or just the ability, maybe people aren't subbing, or because
even with chronic illness too, you need that time, right? Especially with for autoimmune. In my specific case, I go through flares where I'm in bed, I can't get up, I go to the hospital, I'm stuck there for multiple days. My biggest worry is, oh my gosh, I can't stream, no one's gonna come back, you know? So you have to take that into account too. What happens if something happens, you know? And luckily, I've learned a lot and I've been able to maintain my health, and I have a great medical professionals that have helped me kind of get to where I am today. But for people who are just getting diagnosed, or people who are just starting to experience symptoms and are scared and don't know what's happening to them, and there is that fear. So, you know, making sure you're planning for that if you're out for a week, or, you know, if you're in the hospital for a few days, or whatever it may be, or maybe you're going through, you know, a mental health episode where you just can't get it in you to stream. It happens. And it's okay, you know, it's okay to not be okay. Being very self-aware to be able to plan for that.
I know I said this about the nutrition thing, but this, again, is part of this wheel. Being unstable financially does increase your chance of a mental health episode, depression. It affects if you can buy nutritious food. It affects if you can go, like I said before, get your medications, go to the doctor. It can affect every single other part of your wellness. When you are saying, oh, I go to the gym, I got this, I take my medication, I got this, look at your financial health. It is so, so important as well. And then I'm going to defer to, so we're going to talk about specifics about chronic illness as a content creator.
This is something that I am very honored to speak about, because I think that I run into more people who have chronic illness on Twitch than not, whether it be mental or physical. And I've mentioned before that the most important thing is awareness for yourself, knowing what's going to work for you. Trying new things, not being afraid to try new things to see what's going to propel you into a better quality of life. I think that most importantly, it is finding the medical care that is going to help support you, and finding doctors that you feel like you mesh with and you trust. I'm sure you guys have heard before to keep a log of how you're feeling. Sort of something that people always say, and what things that you're sort of looking for is, what are your triggers? What makes you feel bad? Do you see a pattern? Are you sicker during the day? Are you more tired at night? Is it an environmental thing? Do your joints hurt, or do your muscles hurt when it's raining outside? Or is it maybe something that you're eating? It could be, you know, I live in a big city. When it's disgustingly smoggy outside, I feel worse, you know? So it's about being very disciplined in keeping a log of what you're feeling, and you will see a pattern. You'll start seeing things. You're like, oh, that's strange. I always feel this way at this time of day. And you can start to figure out the root causes of why you're feeling that way. And it could be for both mental symptoms and physical. And I do find that's really helpful, and it helps your doctors as well. Make sure you take it to your healthcare professionals, because they can help you kind of determine what your root causes are for the way that you're feeling. I would say that stress is probably one of the absolute worst things for you, and I feel like everybody can relate to that, right? Everybody's like, yeah, definitely, especially as streamers, right? So as far as stress levels go, we all feel different things at different times, and identifying your stressors is really important, and being able to determine what those are and combating them with things that are going to work for you. So listen to yourself. Like I said earlier, if you are feeling something is wrong, it probably is. Don't say, "Oh, it's fine, I'll feel better tomorrow," or "It's no big deal, I'll get through it." Don't say that, because your body is trying to tell you, or your mind or your brain is trying to tell you something. I think that as streamers, we take on a lot. Is everyone here streamers? Everyone?
Yeah.
Pretty much? Okay.
Cool.
How often do you talk to your community? Every day? Individual people?
Do you have your own Discord?
Yeah, do you have your
Or
own
do you
Discord?
have a Discord that you all talk? Or do you have
How many
community
DMs
nights?
do you get a day from your viewers? A lot?
Or not even viewers. I know sometimes.
How many of those people come to you with their problems? Or maybe they're saying, "Hey, you really helped me because I feel like I can connect with you," or "I'm going through the same thing," or, That's a lot to take on. What we forget sometimes is that we're so busy trying to be there for our communities or trying to help other people that we forget to take care of ourselves. So it's really important that you do keep those boundaries, you create those boundaries with your viewers, because if people are coming to you saying, "Hey, I'm having a hard time," I personally have had people come to me saying some pretty concerning things, about their mental health. And I started to realize that, wow, I'm taking on so many people in my community. I'm taking on things that are bothering them, and I'm trying to help them. I'm not even trying to help myself. So it's about maintaining that streamer-viewer relationship and really being able to set those boundaries for yourself. You can't fix everybody else's problems, right? So I think a lot of people take that, and I don't think we realize that, because we're here for our communities and we're here for our viewers and we want to help them, but there's only so much we can do. We're all human, right? We only can take on so much. You're great. You're wonderful. He's like, you're like, yeah, like nodding everything.
So engaged. I know.
If anything, at least one person agrees with that.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I haven't seen it. It looks like a lot of people can kind of relate. And it's a lot of emotional work to be talking to people about these issues all the time. I did sign up for it. I love it. It's my job. It's my passion. It's absolutely everything I wanted to do. I'm prepared for that, but I know I'm also not a therapist. I have been trained in some aspects of mental health care, but I'm not a therapist, and I can't diagnose or prescribe or anything like that outside of stream, and definitely not in stream. So I always make sure I tell people that I'm not a doctor. I can't use my nursing license over the internet if I want to keep it, and I absolutely do. I can give you advice. I can point you towards resources. I will do the legwork and look in your state, or help you look in your state if it's not the one that I live in, and see what resources that are there for you, or nationally. I have the capability to do some emotional work for some people, but I also know that I do have a limit, and I can say, this is really heavy stuff and I don't think you should be dealing with it alone. Here are some people that can help, because you can't do the emotional legwork for every person who comes to you.
Yeah.
It's just gonna drain you.
But it's okay to find resources, and that's what we're here for, and we're hoping that some people reach out to us, because we have made a lot of connections as far as being able to point people in the right direction. So just, we knew we were going to have this problem. Okay, so I want to just go over a couple more things real fast, and then we're going to let you guys talk. But as far as the chronic stuff, I would say, build your support system. Your mods are probably your number one fans. They love you. They love you, and probably more than you realize, and they are your support system for your stream. I know we never want to dump too much on them, but they take so much off my plate. It's insane. And they are the reason why I can do what I do, and they wouldn't be your mods if they didn't want to be there for you. So find the right community as far as your mod team goes, and be honest with them. If you're struggling, you should tell them. I'm sure they would be happy to help you. I think building your support system is really important. I kept from my community for a long time that I wasn't well, and I found that didn't help me at all. So now I'm very honest with them. I And because of that, they feel more comfortable with themselves, that they can relate to you. Because a lot of people that are in your stream are probably going through something similar or can relate in some way. And you can inspire them to, do something more. You're streaming every day or 5 days a week for 8 hours each day. Like that's inspiring for people who are battling chronic illness. That's impressive. So if you're here and you're battling with something and you're a streamer, you should be extremely, extremely proud of yourself, because it's not easy.
Yeah, everyone in this room should be proud of themselves, because I know I can say with confidence, I'm sure every single person in this room is probably dealing with something. And that's something to remember too. Every one of your viewers, everyone that you walk by on the street, everyone is dealing with something.
Here are some resources that we researched, if any of these pertain to you. If you have a specific, there are so many. If you just Google, hotline for whatever specific issue you're dealing with, there's a hotline for it, and we couldn't list them all here.
Yeah.
There's one that I do want to shout out. Heart Support is a nonprofit organization that provides free resources for people battling depression and anxiety and addiction, and basically anything that plagues us as human beings mentally. They have something to help you. And they are on Twitch, and they do 3 times a week, they do streams to help encourage people who are struggling. And they just recently did a survey for streamers. They are putting out a book. It's coming out next month. That's Casey back there, guys. He's part of Heart Support. Yeah. But they're putting out a book next month that is geared for mental health for streamers specifically, and for Twitch. So they are an amazing organization. If you yourself or you have a community that may be struggling, that's great resources to send them to.
Right. So yeah, up there we have both mental and 1HP is 2 physical therapists. So they do a lot of content geared towards maintaining the health and wellness of your body when you're putting it through these massive streams.
If you guys have questions, or if you have a story, we'd love to hear it.
And I'll just put that up there. That's just everybody. So
don't you all get up at once now. Or a best practice. Maybe it's something that we didn't go over that you feel like works for you. We would love to hear it.
Yeah.
There's a mic over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Nitai.
Hi, Nikai.
And I have treatment-resistant depression. And specifically, I titrate terribly. So going on and off medicines is just a crazy serotonin wild ride.
Right.
And I think that, that's specific to me, but I think a lot of people dealing with any sort of either mental or physical chronic issue has those times when they have setbacks. And kind of the bigger the setback, the harder it is to get back on track, kind of doing that bounce back. I was wondering if you had any suggestions, resources about kind of getting a bounce back from a setback.
It's a big struggle, especially. So titration is either increasing medications by a little bit or decreasing medications by a little bit. So to be resistant to most treatments and to be really affected by any change in them, it's got to be really difficult. So I think you should be really proud about the work that you've done already, and really think about that, and know that it's not going to be, I think a lot of people, or many people may think that when you start medications, everything's going to be better right away. But that is absolutely not true. You may not even be taking the medication that works well for you at all. You might have to go through several medications to even feel slightly better. But I think that being able to feel the full gamut of emotions is important, and know that you're better today than you were yesterday, which is still better. You may not be good, you may still be bad, but the end goal is not really good right away. The end goal is to be better or feel better than you did. So yeah, and I talk about that. It's always progression, not perfection, and that's for anything, mental health, physical health, playing a game.
I think too, it's normal to have setbacks. You're gonna sometimes feel like you're taking 3 steps forward and then 2 steps back, and that's okay. That's okay, that's normal. It wouldn't be normal if you were taking 10 steps forward and not going back at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's, just constantly be learn about yourself,
Oh, yeah.
learn about how you're feeling, and go from there. But it is all about progression.
Yeah, and not compare yourself to other people. That's
Please
a really
don't.
big deal. Because, if you're taking the same medication as someone else and all of a sudden, bam, they seem totally mentally well now, they're doing things, they have way more energy than you seem to, and you're like, what's wrong with me? It's not a fault of yours. There's nothing wrong with you. Everybody's different, everybody reacts to treatment differently, and please never compare yourself, your stream, any of your work to anyone else, because it's all about you being better than the previous you and not you being better than someone else who's doing the same thing as you.
I heard a really great analogy the other day where you can say, and as far as comparison goes, you're like, well, I'm going through this, and this person is going through something way worse than me, and they're handling it better. What's wrong with me? But that person, on all the stuff on their plate, they may have a nice big porcelain plate because their support system, their healthcare, whatever they have in their life, has all their stuff is on this nice big porcelain plate, where maybe you have a paper plate. So it's not okay to compare yourself with other people. Everybody has different support systems, and so don't feel like just because you feel like someone else is going through something worse, that your feelings and your health isn't valid. What's your name?
My name's Noah.
Hi.
I am a variety streamer. When I was younger, I suffered from depression pretty seriously. The hardest thing was when my brother didn't believe me. And he didn't understand it at all. He thought the same thing of just think it away.
Right.
Later on, one of our friends did a YouTube video explaining it a little bit better, and he understood a lot more. And just having him there as a support for when I wanted to talk.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to find a support system, because that's great.
And that's important too, just someone sharing a story or putting a YouTube video, that's one of the reasons why we're talking about what we're talking about. If we can help just one person think in a more positive way or help, that's absolutely what we want to do. So let's talk about, hi, did you want to say something?
What's your name?
I'm Andy.
Hi, Andy.
So for me, I have a bit of a question. For a while I've dealt with, and I've been diagnosed and struggled with bipolar disorder. And one of the things that really helped me get through a lot of what I've dealt with was watching Twitch streams with really positive streamers who had really welcoming communities, and they just helped me get through it. And now I've become a streamer in the past year, and I try to make a positive and really mentally healthy community. And I try to emphasize it, but one of the things I struggle with is lingering negativity in myself, or lingering toxicity in myself even, that I feel like I'm plaguing my own community with, and it brings me down during my streams when I feel like I rage at a game, and I feel like I shouldn't be doing that for my viewers, because I want my viewers to go through the same experience. If they're going through hard times like I've gone through, I want them to have the same experience where they can be uplifted by me. So do you have any advice for, what I could do to help transform myself out of that?
I think you should be really proud of what you're doing, and I think that you're doing fine. I think it would be dishonest not to be your full self and to feel your full emotions. And I think it's important, if your community is there because they know you have bipolar disorder, they know you struggle with that, they're looking at you as an example, they're not looking at you to be a perfect example. So they're not looking at you to be like, this guy never rages, that's how I want to be as a bipolar person. No, it's not going to be like that. You have a disorder that makes you manic, that makes you feel feelings maybe and express them maybe 10 times the amount of someone else. Yeah. And to be honest in that expression is very important. So your community can see that, yes, that is something that happens when you have bipolar disorder. If you're looking to do something positive that may help them, is saying, when you're having those feelings, especially the anger and more negative emotions, acknowledging it within your community, being super transparent and honest and saying, hey, as you can see, this is like a flare of this disorder. I am raging at what maybe someone wouldn't rage as hard at. And this is what I do when I feel this sort of emotion coming up. And then do whatever exercise that may help you. Grounding yourself, maybe breathing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in and out with those 5 seconds. Any activity that you can do and saying, these are the emotions I'm feeling, and this is what I do to help. Not, I'm not going to feel this way again, you know? Like, I'm going to be the perfect picture of bipolar disorder where I don't rage or where I don't blast these negative emotions. Because I think in some cases, if somebody else is looking at you as a sort of role model and they are struggling with that too, they want to see that, yeah, you do have these same behaviors, but you have learned ways to deal with them. And if you've learned ways to not make them have a negative impact on your life. So I think you should still be transparent, be you. And
your feelings are valid too.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should say, you know, I don't know. I mean, you're
already a role model.
You're inspiring people.
Yeah.
You know, so and it's awesome that you're driving awareness and you're honest with your community and they're there for you. You know, so I mean, I agree. I think you're doing great things.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Mari.
Hi, Mari.
Hi.
Hi.
Mine's just a story. It's not really
Yeah,
a
go
a
ahead.
question,
Tell us
but,
your story.
Over a year ago, I was in a pretty toxic and abusive relationship, and she believed that watching video games and being on the internet all the time was very childish and would call me a baby and all that, like, while we were in that. And while I was in that relationship, I got diagnosed with one autoimmune disorder, and I've gotten a second one since coming out of there. But she would always tell me to essential oils, and I just needed to eat better. And it's a thyroid disease. Like, that, no, my thyroid's dying, so like it doesn't really work that way. But like since coming out of that relationship, I moved literally across the country. And then I started on Twitch with all of my, like, just in one community, and that one community's grown to 20 communities. And now I know like everyone, and it's been like very positive because I've now, like, I didn't know that like you had an autoimmune disease, and there's so many people on Twitch who have autoimmune disorders,
Yeah.
and that's like, I don't know, it's really comforting.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you make a change like that. You know, it could be one person in your life that's not great for your support system, and you know, as soon as you make that change, it kind of snowballs, right, into just a better lifestyle. So I'm so glad that you're doing better, and thank you for sharing your story. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you've done great. And watching video games is not childish.
No, absolutely not. All right. I think we're out of time.
But if you want to talk some more, if you want to share stories, if you have more questions that you'd like to talk about, we will still be in the area.
Yeah, well, we'll be hanging out here. And then there's all of our social media. If you have any questions, even after, if you go home and, or if you need help with resources for your community or yourself, please reach out to either one of us. We can get you in touch with the right people. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for that. Oh, they cut me off real fast.
I'm like so
Happy. Like, I thought that was great.
I was really nerve-wracking, but I feel better.
Yeah. I feel like it's everything I wanted to say to people, so
Hopefully we help some people today.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it definitely seems like people were a lot more willing to open up and share their stories, maybe things that they weren't very comfortable with, and some of the things that you talked about made them realize, hey, there's a lot going on with a lot of other people, and there is this support community out there that I can reach out to and talk to.
Well, that's part of the reason why I wanted to do it too, is because I was one of those people that was like, I don't want to talk about
I'll just keep it to myself.
because I don't want people to treat me differently, but really it's
Nobody treats you any differently,
no.
and you help people.